As Trump 2.0 prepares to launch in January, there are signs everywhere that hubris alone is going to bring it down. There are just too many competing interests, creating conflicting values and visions and plans about how to overthrow American democracy and replace it with a Christian nationalist billionaire oligarchy form of fascism. Trump making a clown show cabinet to corrupt every executive branch department is causing his coalition to come apart at the seams. You know it's getting bad when Trump is getting criticized, live and on air by NewsMax, but that's exactly what happened. I'm going to show a clip of Trump's nominee Pete Hegseth getting ripped to shreds on Newsmax because the response to it is the perfect illustration with how Christian nationalism is often at odds with the billionaire oligarchy wing of the Trump coalition. The Christian part of Christian nationalism every once in a while has to pay lip service to Christian values. I mean, they're always trying to put the Bible in schools and the Ten Commandments into courthouses, and that's the problem. The Ten Commandments includes a prohibition against adultery, which is something that can't exactly be raised in the context of serial adulterer Donald Trump, not to mention a slew of others. Still, they can't ignore it always, so it's tricky to say the least. Then there's the nationalist part of Christian nationalism, and that part is always advocating for a strong military. The plan to gut the military and decimate military leadership, replacing it with nothing but loyalists, is not exactly something the average Christian nationalist is on board with. Now, it's true, the Trump coalition tries to keep unity by promising Christian nationalists that the military will be used to go after brown people and other people of color, not to mention all kinds of liberals. And isn't that just heartwarming? Appealing to racism to keep the coalition together? What's next? Bringing Megyn Kelly back into the fold to assure everyone that Santa Claus is white? Well, it's a good try, but a large number of Christian nationalists come out of the military or military families, and they are all about military integrity. That's what led Newsmax host Greg Kelly to shred Pete Hegseth. It's a really rare moment when negative criticism of Trump comes out on Newsmax. And believe me, Kelly goes out of his way with deference and couching his claims. And there's no small reason to think that a bit of self-promotion is going on here. But still, at the end of the day, this is a complete and utter takedown of Hegseth. Watch this.
And I love President Trump, but he's not infallible. And from time to time, personnel mistakes will be made. And I am allowed to say what I think about these mistakes. So then the New York Times story comes out. We all know that the fake news is the fake news, right? So I won't rely on the fake news. I'll rely on what his own attorney has said, that Pete Hegseth signed a non-disclosure agreement and paid money to a woman who accuses him of sexual assault. I was once accused of sexual assault, falsely. I would never in a billion years pay that person a dime. Pete Hegseth, that doesn't sound like a fighter. That sounds like somebody who's blackmailable. And I'm not comfortable with that individual being the Secretary of Defense. A couple of other quick things, if you don't mind. Look, I'm a person. I am flawed. I am no saint.
Right.
I have dealt with temptation. I have sinned. And yes, like Pete, and I believe, I hope he's on a journey to get himself closer to God. I am still tempted and all kinds of things. It can be challenging being a human being. The adultery matter is a real matter. Maybe not in the real world where laws against adultery are considered quaint and silly and kind of passé. In the military, it's different. In the military, you might go to sea for 6 months, 9 months, maybe go to the desert for a year. And a lot of folks in the military leave behind somebody who is dear to them, perhaps a wife.
Yeah. Greg, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
If you don't mind, I do have to finish this thought. And if that wife engages with another service member, it can have a real impact on the good order, morale, discipline of the military and make us less effective. That's a real thing, and it happens. It's happening now. It happens. It's human nature. It does happen. That must be against the law always in the military. Pete, it's well known, has violated that. I have had issues. We've all had issues. He should not be the Secretary of Defense with this record. What we will see are service members pointing to that individual. Look at all of the things that he has been through. I should not be held accountable for any of this stuff. And that is a major, major problem.
Ouch, Pete, you've been body slammed. Kelly's point here that falsely accused men don't pay settlements and then get NDAs to cover things up is a gut punch to the integrity of Pete Hegseth. Even one of Kelly's colleagues tried to close him down. And while he may have seemed a little out of touch with the concept of adultery, especially given how many GOP leaders are guilty of it, linking it to military cohesion and effectiveness is a devastating point. Linking it to the legitimacy of military leadership and discipline was effective. In fact, it's so effective that it unnerved Trump and the billionaire oligarchy who pushed back hard. Sources are claiming that Trump called NewsMax CEO Chris Ruddy to complain about on-air remarks from host and longtime Trump booster Greg Kelly. Ruddy did not want to draw Trump's anger, so he swung into action. According to sources, NewsMax Chief Operating Officer Elliot Jacobson convened a meeting and told staff to focus on the positive aspects of Hegseth's nomination. Any issues following this will result in termination, he warned. So, of course, money talks for a business trying to make money as a propaganda wing of the Republican Party. NewsMax, you'll recall, was one of the media organizations that fell into line with the 2020 stolen election lie, and that led to it being sued by Dominion and Smartmatic voting machines. They are absolutely dependent on the approval of the billionaire oligarchy to encourage wealthy investors to stay afloat. So freelancing ideas and criticisms is way beyond what individual hosts can do. What this incident shows is that the scramble to keep MAGA morons aligned with the Trump 2.0 agenda is not sustainable. The internal conflicts in the array of BS values is unmanageable the more Trump tries to destroy the very democracy he claims he's trying to defend. There's a very important rule here for Democrats. Whatever you do, don't get in the way of collapse from this hubris. You know, pour gasoline on the fire, but don't get in the way. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.